the rumors are in fact true. I've been getting probed 17 hours a day since I've been gone. Yep, you heard it here first. Aliens abducted me. They're like, hey, I want to see your content. With all 2 of your views you get each video. And I was like, yep, you know me. I'm famous. I'm a micro celebrity. Just like I have a micro... Yeah. Anyway, so I apologize for not posting. I did try to post earlier today, but, you know, it didn't really work out. The audio got fucked up. So with that, let's get into the video. Like the button, or I'm going to hit you over the head with my fire extinguisher. So, nicotine's always been a popular thing in high schools and middle schools, and elementary schools are slowly getting corrupted, but you know, it is what it is. It started off with a Juul epidemic in middle school. You know how it was. Hitting that mango Juul pod in the bathroom, maybe even cucumber ice, maybe even coffee. And then those got banned. Right, high schoolers got upset, especially when they raised the age from 18 to 21. So 18-year-olds could not smoke cigarettes or do drugs, legal drugs, or even drink, but they could go to war. You know that argument. It is a kind of valid argument, but it is what it is. And then zyns came. Right? Zyns showed up, and they became really, really popular because most kids don't want to chew, because you have to spit, you have to do all that. It's kind of gross. But this happened 3 months ago. Me and my friend were hanging out outside the school. Right? It's lunch. And my friend was popping zyns like crazy, okay? He was popping zyns like little Xanax during the Xan epidemic. Alright, it just kind of is what it is. And I had these caffeine zyns, and that's important for later in the story, but there was this group of nerdy kids, and they walked into the bathroom, and me and my friend also had to go to the bathroom at the same time. It wasn't like a weird nerdy orgy or anything like that. We just showed up, I had to pee, and there's this one kid that hit a vape. And these nerdy kids are like, oh my god, what is that device? What is that device? The kid's like, oh, it's my vape. What do you want? He's like, oh, is that allowed in school? It's like, sure. Like, oh my. And so my friend was like, hey, after school, if you think that's really cool, I want to show you something. So, me and my friend were in 5th period. We're just kind of hanging out, because it's my last period. And we're like, I think we're playing Clash Royale. We're doing duos. We're just kind of hanging out there for a little bit. We're just waiting for time to finally pass. The bell finally rings, and we walk outside. And so, I added this kid on Snapchat previously, and I told him to meet us in the forest, because we have this foresty area in our high school, right? Because there's a high school, and there's this middle school, and we're kind of in between it. And there's like these little patch of woods. That's where most kids smoke weed. So, we meet up, and we start walking, and I turn to look, and I was like, hey, dog. So, we're going to give you this thing called a zyn, alright? And these zyns, they're crazy. Have you ever heard of DMT? He's like, no, what's DMT? You know, when you dream, it's that same exact chemical compound, but in this form. So, we wanted to take you out in the forest, so that way when you start seeing stuff, it looks really cool to you, okay? But remember, if you start freaking out, or you start seeing crazy stuff, we will go nightmare, 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 and you have to scream, bend over, and yell RUN until we tell you that you're safe. It's like, okay. So we start going in front of you, and start yelling nightmare, 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 nightmare. You have to bend over and say RUN, and then you have to yell. So it's like, okay, because it's just me, my friend, and him. Alright, so we eventually get down there into like the forest area, because it has like a little bench, and we're not gonna give him a 6 milli zyn. We're gonna give him a caffeine zyn and tell him it's like LSD, right? So we give it to him, and he has sunglasses on, so he puts his sunglasses on. We give it to him. He's like, I'm like, hey man, how you feel? Because it's been like 3 minutes. He's like, I'm feeling a weird tingly sensation. And so, just to give you guys some more information on this, my friend that does 6 milli zyns consistently, he's tried these caffeine zyns, and he say these burns so much more than the other ones, than like the 6 millis. So like the caffeine zyns burn so much more than his 6 milligram zyns. I'm sorry, I'm getting sick. But So this kid starts taking it. He's like, I'm starting to see stuff. He's doing the equivalent of like when little kids like drink root beer and act like they're drinking regular beer and drunk as hell, right? So he's like, I'm starting to see things in the trees. They look very weird. They're starting to move. And this kid, the best way I can describe him is World of Shirts. All right, he looks like World of Shirts, and so he just keeps on like staring off in the sky. And so I bumped my friend like, hey, come on, let's do it. And he was here yelling, nightmare, 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 nightmare. Right, we yell nightmare at him, and it freaks him out a little bit, like quite a bit. He like bends down, starts spinning around in a circle, yelling, "R-U-N, R-U-N, R-U-N, R-U-N." And me and my friend couldn't stop laughing. I set up my phone like earlier so I could take a video. I would post it up on here, but I don't really want to expose myself. I don't want to show my face or any of that. But I just want you guys to know how funny it was. So we eventually tell him, "Hey, you're good now. You're good now." Me and my friend, we leave. And this is where the story gets probably really interesting, right? Probably the peak of it. We go home. Me and him play Xbox together. Like, hey, that kid he was something, wasn't he? He's like, yeah, he was something. So eventually the next day I look at the nerdy kid. I was like, hey, what's good? He's like, oh my god, that was a crazy experience I had last night. I was like, what are you talking about last night? He's like, yeah, after you guys had me spin around spelling R-U-N, I started having a lot more trippy visuals. I was like, oh, did you watch? What did you watch? He's like, oh, I watched videos to watch when you're high.com. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that was a website, but whatever floats your boat. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what's that in your lip? He's like, what are you talking about? I left it in. I'm still seeing stuff a little bit, but it's not as effective as it was. And keep in mind, this was 100 milligrams of caffeine. Straight caffeine. Alright, so you're not going to have visuals. You're not going to see anything. It's the equivalent of a Red Bull. Alright. With that, that's the whole entire story. I hope you guys had a great day, and yeah, take care. Truth.